The Indiana Fever suffered a devastating defeat against the Golden State Valkyries, raising serious questions about head coach Stephanie White's tactical decisions and overall leadership. The loss was so comprehensive that many observers began questioning whether the coaching approach was intentionally undermining the team's chances. A particularly vocal critic on social media platform X expressed frustration with White's strategic choices during the contest. The commentary began with technical difficulties involving the game clock, which required fixing at the start. However, the real controversy centered around White's defensive scheme. EA stated Stephanie White tried to lose this game on purpose, playing zone when they have 4 legitimate shooters on the floor, on top of the fact that Golden State Valkyrie takes and makes the most threes. Initially, it's mind-boggling to say the least. I defended this lady all year and she pulls this. I'm done, bro. Fever Valkyrie's time delay was so long they started playing the connections online. Wow. This is terrible. Then it was this right here, man. The Fever employed a zone defensive strategy throughout much of the game, despite facing a Valkyries team loaded with capable three-point shooters. This tactical choice proved disastrous as Golden State consistently found open looks from beyond the arc. The Valkyries shot an impressive percentage from three-point range, exploiting the gaps in Indiana's zone coverage repeatedly. Critics pointed out that the Golden State squad ranks among the league's top teams in both three-point attempts and accuracy, making the decision to play zone defense particularly puzzling. The criticism intensified as White failed to adjust her defensive approach even as the Valkyries continued to punish the Fever from long range. The defeat highlighted ongoing concerns about White's coaching consistency and decision-making throughout the season. Many supporters who had previously defended her coaching ability expressed disappointment and frustration with this particular performance. Individual player performances also drew scrutiny. Star player Aaliyah Boston, typically a reliable contributor, managed only 4 points, 3 assists, and 6 rebounds in a surprisingly quiet showing. This subpar performance from a key player significantly hampered the team's chances, with many suggesting that had Boston played to her usual standards, the outcome might have been different. Like Stephanie White need to lose her job. She has done a lot of inconsistencies, as a head coach with this team. And I know a lot of people are going to blame this on Kayla Caitlin and even play this year, bro. But let's head on over to the box score because she was not the only one that needed to be fired up because none other than superstar player Aaliyah Boston. Everybody know I love Aaliyah Boston, but Aaliyah Boston was nowhere to be found yesterday. She had 4 damn points. 4 points, 3 assists, and 6 rebounds. Travel fatigue was suggested as a possible explanation for Boston's struggles, though this didn't excuse the overall team preparation and tactical approach. Other roster members showed mixed results. Natasha Howard contributed 13 points and 6 rebounds, while Kelsey Mitchell added 14 points with 3 rebounds and 2 assists. Odyssey Sims failed to make a significant impact, contrasting with Ariel Powers, who delivered an impressive performance with 17 points, 1 rebound, and 4 assists. Powers' strong showing raised questions about roster decisions and whether the team should prioritize securing her services for the remainder of the season. It's 4 points, 3 assists, and 6 rebounds. Could this be from a traveling? Very much so. Now, just like I stated, I picked them to win this game. I truly did. I didn't think they was going to get swept by any team this year, but boy, was I wrong. Aaliyah Boston, had Aaliyah Boston showed up to this game, they win. They win, bro. I truly believe it's the traveling, man. Natasha Howard, 13 and 6. Several players, including Odyssey Sims, Shea Petty, Ari McDonald, Clue Baby, and Sydney Colson, face uncertain futures as the organization may need to make roster moves to accommodate Powers' potential extension. Shea Petty's effort levels on both ends of the court drew particular criticism, with questions raised about whether she had done enough to secure her roster spot. Following the defeat, White addressed the media but offered explanations that many found unsatisfactory. When discussing the early technical difficulties with the game clock, she acknowledged the disruption to game rhythm but emphasized controlling what the team could control. However, she admitted the team wasn't prepared for the opening minutes following the delay. 13 and 6. Kelsey Mitchell 14, 3 and 2. Odyssey Sims did not show up, but Aerial Powers did. See, it's always one or the other. I feel like they're going to have to sign Aerial Powers to extend her. Shea Petty might have to, somebody's going to get waived, God, before the playoffs. I don't know if it's Odyssey Sims, Shea Petty, who else? Ari McDonald could get waived, Chloe Baby could get waived. Regarding the defensive breakdowns that allowed Golden State's three-point barrage, White cited the Valkyries' excellent floor spacing and precise passing. She acknowledged that her team overhelped on defense, leading to poor rotations and wide-open shooting opportunities for the opposition. White explained that the defensive mistakes stemmed from attempts to prevent catch-and-shoot three-pointers and avoid overhelping on drives, but the execution failed dramatically. The Valkyries capitalized on these defensive lapses, shooting over 50% from the field and connecting on 7 three-pointers. On the offensive end, White described the team as tentative and lacking aggression. She noted that even when transition opportunities presented themselves, players jogged rather than sprinted up the court, allowing Golden State to establish their defensive positioning. The coach emphasized that facing one of the league's top defensive units required taking advantage of early offensive reads, which the Fever failed to do consistently. When asked about the importance of the current stretch of games for playoff positioning, White stressed that every contest matters, particularly against direct competitors. She referenced a crucial moment when the game was within 5 points with 7.5 minutes remaining, but mental errors led to opponents scoring runs that ultimately decided the outcome. The performance raised significant concerns about the team's playoff prospects, and White's ability to make necessary adjustments during critical moments, affected the readiness, at all. But yeah, it's disruptive. It's not something that you expect to see. But we often talk about control of things that we can control, and when we couldn't control that, the comprehensive nature of the defeat, combined with questionable tactical decisions and poor individual performances, created a perfect storm of disappointment for the organization and its supporters. The loss highlighted the need for immediate improvements in both coaching strategy and player execution if the Fever hopes to compete effectively in upcoming contests. The criticism of White's zone defense against the three-point shooting team reflects broader concerns about tactical awareness and in-game adjustments that could prove crucial as the season progresses. Michaela Timpson continues to receive no playing time, marking yet another game where she remained on the bench throughout. The pattern suggests head coach Stephanie White has little White appears to have lost faith not only in Timpson but also in veteran Demir Stantis, indicating a narrowing of the coaching staff's trusted rotation. Bree Turner remains a fixture in the lineup despite underwhelming statistical production. Turner's professional approach deserves recognition, even though her on-court contributions have been minimal this season. Averaging less than 1 point per game, Turner has been outscored by recently acquired players like Shea Petty, who joined the roster just 1 week prior. Aerial Powers, despite playing only 4 games, has already accumulated more points than Turner. The disparity becomes even more stark when considering Turner's 18-minute performance yielded just 2 points, 1 block and 2 rebounds with no steals. Turner's value extends beyond traditional statistics, contributing in ways that don't appear on the box score. This intangible impact explains her continued presence in the rotation despite modest numbers. The situation illustrates White's coaching philosophy perfectly, prioritizing reliability and defensive stability over explosive offensive potential. White's approach centers on building a defensively sound, consistent team rather than gambling on high-risk, high-reward players. Suggest that's the best way to describe it. That was a crazy sentence to use for Brita. But it's clear with Steph White what she trusts and what she doesn't trust. It's clear to Steph White does not trust, or she would rather be solid than attempt to be better. Her goal is to be solid. That's the whole thing with Stephanie White, is that she is out there trying to make a solid team. She wants to be a defensive coach. She wants this conservative strategy aims for steadiness rather than spectacular play. While this philosophy has logical merit, it creates challenges for developing younger talent who need game experience to improve. The coaching style has drawn criticism for producing unexciting basketball. Despite having dynamic players like Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, and Odyssey Sims, the team's offensive system lacks the entertainment value typically associated with these talents. The backcourt combination of Sims and Mitchell, once among the league's most exciting partnerships, now operates within constraints that limit their natural flair. This is to be a defensive-oriented team, and you know what? Like, I'm not going to go out here and blame her for that. Like, you're allowed, every coach, every player, or every GM, every player is allowed have a philosophy of basketball and is allowed to have ideas of basketball. And just because if we disagree with Stephanie White's ideas of basketball doesn't mean there's no logic to it. For me, anyway, I think when there's no logic to a situation, that White's pragmatic approach may create future complications with star players who thrive in more creative systems. The methodical style could eventually lead to conflicts, particularly with players accustomed to more freedom and spontaneity in their offensive roles. Mitchell has reverted to her previous role as the primary scoring option, a position that historically correlates with mediocre team performance. When Mitchell serves as the first offensive option, the team typically struggles to maintain winning records or secure playoff positioning. This pattern suggests limitations in what can be achieved with Mitchell as the focal point of the offense. Regardless of her individual statistical success, Timpson represents the clearest example of White's cautious approach toward player development. The rookie possesses impressive physical tools, mass shot blocking ability, finishing around the basket, and offensive rebounding skills. However, her court awareness and decision-making in structured offensive sets remain underdeveloped. Three things. One of them is kind of the same thing. Her teams are like watching paint dry. Like, it is the least fun basketball in the WNBA. And this is a team, even without Caitlin Clark, that employs Kelsey Mitchell. You employ Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, what's her name? Odyssey Sims. Odyssey Sims played with Arike and it was the most fun backcourt, other than Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell. Second most fun backcourt. And now Odyssey Sims and Kelsey Mitchell is what like watching paint dry. She is a pragmatic. Timpson excels in transition situations and simple post-up scenarios, but struggles with the complex reads required in half-court offensive systems. White's reluctance to utilize Timpson in intricate offensive schemes stems from the player's limited court vision and feel for the game. Modern basketball requires versatility in offensive execution, making isolation plays insufficient for sustained success. Timpson's skill set doesn't align with the systematic approach White prefers to implement. Watching paint dry. She is a pragmatic coach, and she is, again, it is like watching paint dry, watching a team play. I don't think she will ever fully buy into Caitlin Clark. I think she's going to get another year. She's done well enough, she's going to get another year. I don't think she's ever going to fully buy into Caitlin Clark. I think she's going to be the Paul Westhead. I think she's going to be the coach that, there's going to be it's going to be a her. I think it's going to eventually be a her. The rookie's acquisition appears to have been circumstantial rather than planned. The organization likely intended to keep Jaylen Brown on the roster, with Timpson included as a secondary consideration in the trade arrangements. Her exceptional potential made cutting her impossible, but the team lacked a clear development plan for integrating her abilities. Current circumstances provide little opportunity for Timpson's growth. It's going to be a her. I think it's going to eventually be a her on me type situation, and I don't think Caitlin Clark will cause that. But I think it's going to be one of those things where it's going to be so bad. I think if Caitlin Clark was playing, we would be talking more about that factor. Because Kelsey Mitchell has gone back to Kelsey Mitchell of old, which by the way, she's having the best season of her career with old Kelsey Mitchell. But I think there's a peak you can go with first option Kelsey Mitchell hoops, and I think that peak is the 7th seed. I think that's the best you can do. With every remaining game carrying playoff implications, experimentation with unproven players becomes impractical. The team faces pressure to win 3 of their next 4 games to avoid the 8th seed, making Timpson's playing time even more unlikely. The playoff race complications stem from a crucial loss to the Valkyries, who